Hello there. I brought my old notebook along to show you that, you may have seen it in an older video many, many years ago. This is the list that I used to use of all the jazz songs. It goes up to 114 here. These are all the songs I used to play in restaurants and whatnot over 15 years ago. I've done it a few times in Hungary as well, a couple of years ago. But this is like the main list I used to use. And I've taken a few songs from there to give you some examples of part one, linked somewhere, of how common chord progressions are behind most of the classic jazz songs. So the main thing is 2-5-1. Often that's preceded by a 6-2-5-1. Often you go up a fourth. That happens quite a lot. Often a 2-5-1 doesn't go to the root. It goes to another number in the major scale via its own 2-5. You'll see that in all these examples. So let's get into it, and I'll show you with Autumn Leaves. Now, I'm going to play nice fancy chords. I'm not going to play all the songs. I'm just going to say, oh, look, here's that progression, here's that progression, here's, just to show you that they really are behind all these classic songs, and that they're actually quite similar in a way. I recommend requesting a deep dive, and people can vote on it if you want me to go into any of these songs in more detail, or show you some of the fancier chords I'm using. I just can't put everything in one video, of course. So, Autumn Leaves, commonly played in the key of G major, but it would be called E minor, because it kind of ends on E minor, and that's the sixth of G, it's the relative minor, all that stuff. Anyway, chord progression, we're in the key of G. This starts with a very simple 2-5-1 onto itself. A minor 7, D7, up to G, well, down to G, so 2-5-1. Then it goes up a fourth. Get used to me saying that. C major 7. So just get used to that. 2, 5, 1, up a fourth. Now it does this. What is that? Well, because it's landing on E minor, its 2 is F sharp. The 5 of E is B. So we need chords which relate to the E here. So regularly, a 2 is a minor 7 chord. But when you're landing on a minor 7 chord type, often you'll flatten the 5th. It's a diatonic thing. It makes it sound correct. So it's called a half diminished. Often you'll see a half diminished, a minor 7 flat 5, and then a regular dominant 7 chord, and then that temporary 1, which I call a floating 2-5-1, because it's not the root of the piece of the key of the piece. That will often be a minor 7, 99.9% of the time. So you'll remember that song as 2-5-1, up a fourth. I see that as one whole sequence, 2-5-1, up a fourth. And then it does a floating 2-5-1 onto the 6. That's just two things to remember. It's just a 2-5-1 onto the 6th. Just play it how I want, wherever I want. Just a little minor major 7, 6 drop there. Sounds quite nice. So there's an example with that. Misty, key of E flat. Let's just see how that goes. 1, E flat major 7. Now it's immediately going into B flat minor 7, E flat 7, A flat. A flat is the fourth of E flat. So it has gone up a fourth. Okay, we know that, via a 2-5. The 2-5 of A flat. Often you can resolve a major 7 to a 6. Then it does a minor on the 4. And then it goes up a fourth again to D flat. Playing just a D flat 9 chord there, but it goes up a fourth from E flat to A flat, then it plays a minor on that fourth, and then it goes up another fourth. Something that's really, really common in jazz repertoire. So it happens in A flat, in Misty, in E flat. Then it just goes back to 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. So again, from the beginning. Minor, up a fourth. 1, 6, 2, 5. It's pretty easy. So So, the next song I want to give you an example with is All the Things You Are. Key of A flat this time, so you need to know your major scales, of course. Orientate yourself in A flat. And it's going to go on the 6. So it starts 6, 2, 5, 1. F minor 7. 2, 5, 1. Guess what happens now? It goes up a fourth to D flat. Now guess what happens? It does a floating 2, 5, 1, but onto the third. The third of A flat is C. C is 2, 5. D minor 7. 2, 7. C. Resolve the major 7 to a 6. Nice little trick. So learn that in blocks. I can deep dive any of these songs again. I'm not trying to teach you them here. I'm just showing you the numbers behind them. 6, 2, 1, up a fourth, 2, 5, 1 onto the third. And then you do the whole thing again, but in the key of E flat, where C is now the 6th, so it becomes minor 7. End on the third of E flat this time. So it's the same thing twice. Another example is Skylark. The chord progression is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then up a fourth via another chord. So in the key of E flat, this one again. You can do it in any key. So it starts on, I'm just listening to it, onto the C. 2, 3, 4, 1. I'll explain that after. And then up to 4. Now this chord is just a little semitone drop. You can study tritone substitutions if you want. The basic idea of this is that you're playing a 5, 1 onto A flat, but instead of the 5, which would be a dominant 7, you're playing its flat 5, its tritone, a note which is 3 whole steps away, which is just a flat 5. And you're playing a 7 with a flat 5 on that flat 5. It just works and sounds pretty, and it gives you that semitone drop, and it just sounds quite nice. Don't expect you to follow that too easily, but study tritone substitutions if you're curious. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Little tritone, semitone drop. Then it does a 3. Yeah, you have to do that quickly. It's like 2 beats each. So anyway, it's going 3, 6, 2. Then the 2 becomes a minor chord. 5, 1. So properly. Etc. So mainly the chord progression I'm focusing on there. Another one is My Romance. People seem to like My Romance in the key of B flat. So let's do an augmented chord onto it from F. It goes up a fourth. So that's going to be the chord progression of 1, 2, 3. Minor as a whole diminished. 2, 5, 1. Very, very common progression. There are other songs that do this too. What's the song? My Romance. 2, 3. Minor as a whole diminished. 2, 5. Then it goes up a fourth. Then it's on the 6. And it just goes on like that. Goes to the 6 goes to a major third, then a 2, 5, dominant 7, and then up a fourth to E flat, etc., etc. So again, same stuff. What else did I write down here? 8 Misbehaving, one of my early ones. E flat, so it's going 1, so it's going 6, 2, 5. Just 1, 6, 2, 5. Dominant 7 on the 1 there to get up a fourth. On the 4th, minor. Then you can put a third in the bass, but you're still playing a 1 chord, 6. Often on the 6 you can play a major third. 2, 5, 1. To the minor, back to 1, and then it goes on to the next section. Very, very nice. What have I got here? The Nearness of You. I think it's in the key of F. 1. Resolve the major 7 to a 6. No, what has it? Oh, that's the wrong song. That's Georgia. I've played this for a long time. At 1. Then a 2, 5 onto B flat, which is the 4th of F. Then it goes to a whole diminished on that 4, which is nice. 3, 6, 2, 5. And you can do again a 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 because it's a nice little turnaround. Okay, so 1. 2, 5, 1 onto B flat. Whole diminished. 3, 6, 2, 5. Up to the minor on the 4. Back to the 1 again onto the next section. Under My Skin, key of E flat. How does this one go? It starts on the 2, so F minor 7. 5. 6. Again, 2, 5, 1. 6. 2. 1. 6 with a major third. 2, 5, 1 again. Now, that is a great melody. If somebody said to me, I've just written a song, and it just goes 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, I'd say, really? That melody better be very interesting and memorable. And look what happened. I've Got You Under My Skin as one of the most famous jazz songs ever, probably top 10, and it's literally just 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2. It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's just a melody. It's over the notes of E flat major. With that little out of key note. Even the melody is just the notes of E flat major scale. It's unbelievable. And yet that 6, 2, 5, 1 is also behind Fly Me to the Moon. It's the same, and yet it's behind this. It's even behind the other one, which is All the Things You Are. Like I said, upper 4th, which is what Fly Me to the Moon does. Yet they're such different sounding songs. It's crazy. But Not For Me, I wrote down. 2, 5, 1 on E flat. 6 with a major third. Just want to show you that part. We can go through the whole song in a tutorial if you want. But that's it. 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1. It's everywhere behind all these classic songs. So have a look at jazzstudies.us. Type in any songs you want to learn in the comments below, and I'll do a deep dive into it. Even if I don't know the song, how will I learn it? I'll listen to it lots of times. I'll listen to different versions lots of times without looking at the lead sheet first. I'll internalize it on my internal jukebox. Listen, 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 different versions. Even the lyrics can help with the structure and how the melody goes and when the chords change. And then I will finally get the lead sheet, and I'll look at the structure, and I'll say, okay, whatever it's starting on a 2, it might be 2, 5, 1, it goes up a 4th, then it does a floating 2, 5, 1 onto the 3rd, and then it goes 2-5-1 back to the beginning, and then it goes maybe up to the 4th, and then the 5th, and then back to 1 again. Maybe section 2 is a 2-5-1 onto the 4, and then a 2-5-1 onto the 6, and then it goes 3-6-2-5-1 back to the beginning. Like, it could just be something like that. So I'm just going to study it like that. Then I'll come to the piano, I'll find the melody, what key it belongs in, and play along listening to it, or maybe my favourite version, play along listening to it, and then I'll be able to play it very, very quickly. That whole process might just take an hour, with 90% of that being listening to it, so I know how it goes. But I do know most of the jazz repertoire, so it shouldn't be too hard. So that's it, really. If you'd like me to do that live, in a video, then I can. Just let me know the song, and I'll do it for you. I hope this video has been of use to you, and you can go away and learn your favourite pieces. Of course, you need to combine major scale mastery, you need to know your chord shapes. I have whole video playlists on chord shapes and types. So you are well taken care of. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next video. All the best. Bye for now.